The reason most people give up before they're able to do a proper freestanding handstand is for exactly this reason. They think that in 2 weeks they'll be able to do it, and after 2 weeks they're just frustrated, they throw in the towel and they give up. It's going to take you 6 months until you've really experienced something, really got good at it. You just don't understand how much time it's going to take. It's Connor here in Saint-Paul-de-Vence with the view down over the Mediterranean. Nice is over there, Cannes on the French Riviera. Here for just an overnight stop in this beautiful town of Saint-Paul-de-Vence, town with 64 art galleries. And this week I was reading Jeff Bezos' letter to shareholders. And in Jeff Bezos' letter to shareholders, he was talking about a couple of things: high standards, and another element which is how long it really takes to become a master in something. And the story he tells in his letter to shareholders, he says a friend of his wanted to learn how to do a proper handstand, stand on your hands without the wall to support, and she hired a coach to help her learn to do a proper handstand. In the first meeting with the handstand coach, he asked her, how long do you expect it will take before you're able to do a handstand? And she, like me, assumed that if you put yourself to it, her answer was in 2 weeks. So if I really put myself to it, if I focus on this, if I practice every day, in 2 weeks I expect to be able to do a freestanding handstand. And the handstand coach said, well, you're going to fail. It's going to take you 6 months. The reason most people give up before they're able to do a proper freestanding handstand is for exactly this reason. They think that in 2 weeks they'll be able to do it, and after 2 weeks they're just frustrated, they throw in the towel and they give up. And Jeff Bezos then looks at this same idea with something that they've been doing for many years in Amazon, which is when somebody wants to get budget for a project, when someone wants to get a decision, any leadership meeting in Amazon begins with everyone silently reading a 6-page memo. And Jeff Bezos, in his letter to shareholders, says there are people who write great memos and there are people who write terrible memos. And you know it when you read it. You know it while you're reading it. You know whether the memo is clear and concise and has the information needed to take a decision. He says that the clarity of angels, but you can also have memos where you know it just isn't there. And in almost every case, the memos that are crystal clear took 6 weeks for the team to develop the thinking, do the work, and put it down into the page. The memos that are not clear, the memos that are tough, that have this, what do you call, squishiness, there's something missing in their clarity. The person who wrote it thought that with 2 or 3 days he would be able to put out a good 6-page memo. It just takes longer. Several years ago I paid for a friend of mine to help me to put order into my house, and she came, looked at my house, and in the end it took her 2 months, 8 weeks, and the first 6 weeks was just putting order into my house, categorizing things, making sure there was a place for everything, throwing a lot of stuff out, unpacking boxes, moving things around. And it dawned on me, I think I'm terrible at tidying, but I do exactly what this woman thought it would take to do a handstand. I think when I look at an untidy house, an untidy room, 30 minutes putting myself at it, I'll be able to put tidiness and order into my office, into my bedroom, into the kitchen, into the sitting room. And usually an hour later, there's piles of crap on the floor. I'm totally frustrated and angry and fed up, and I just shove everything back into the nearest cupboard and just think, it's the last time I try and tidy or put order into my house. And the problem is this, that until you've really experienced something, really got good at it, you just don't understand how much time it's going to take. So my reflection for this week is a lot of things that we're not good at, we are very poor at estimating the real demand of time to do it well, either to learn it or to complete a good one. To write a good 6-page memo to get funds for a project, unless you see that as absolutely fundamentally part of your work, you're never going to get good enough to really rise up and raise money for the big projects and get recognized. And in my case, playing a musical instrument, if you've never played guitar, you think, well, if I did 2 weeks of good practice, I'd probably be able to play Stairway to Heaven. I've played piano since I was probably 8-9 years old, and when I decide to learn a new piece, I know it's going to take me 3 months of slowly practicing and building up the notes. And part of it's I only practice a new piece 5, 10, 15 minutes per day. But I think even if I found the patience and the energy and the motivation to do 2 hours a day of practicing at the piano, it's going to take a couple of months to go from not knowing a piece to really being able to play it well and have a feel for it. So in most cases where you're frustrated with your performance, I bet it's exactly what Bezos indicates in this headstand phenomenon. It takes a lot more time to master things than a novice will ever imagine. So for the things that matter you, take the time, find a coach and find out how long does it really take to master something, and don't allow yourself to get frustrated way before what it would take a normal person to achieve this. Learning a language, you don't learn a language in 6 weeks. It takes 2-3 years of living in a country before you really start to have the language embedded in you and you speak well. So Connor here from St. Paul de Vence on the French Riviera. Bit of clouds coming in now, so good job we made the video here before the rain falls. Have a great week.